to the first of what will be a webinar series that discusses OpenShift Container Platform provided by Red Hat. So for this first webinar, I'm just going to go over basic login information that you can attain from your install, as well as just the basic overview of the user interface of Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform. So as you can see by this, I have run the Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform installer provisioned infrastructure. If you do not know how to do this to set up a cluster on one of the major hyperscalers that it currently supports, my other videos that show Google Cloud Platform, Azure, AWS, as well as IBM Rocks can help show you how to get to this step. But once the install is finished, we are given a few different pieces of information. We're given the API URL, which you can see right here. We are also given a command that we can run in order to be able to log in from the command line interface as system admin. We're also given our web console URL, and then we are finally given our initial admin user, which is the cube admin user by default, and it provides you with a password. So what I'm going to first do is log in to the cluster from my browser. So if I select the URL, and as you can see, I'm already logged in, but if I wanted to, I could log out and sign in with the password that is displayed here. And again, it's going to be cube admin for the account. Now, the first time you open this, if you have not specified certificates, you will see that this is not secure. It will ask you when you first go to the URL to basically proceed, acknowledging that it is unsafe to do so, or it may be unsafe to do so. This does not indicate that it's unsafe to use your cluster or anything. It just means that it doesn't have certificates that are identified by the browser. And if you're running it on one of the major hyperscalers, this should update within 24 hours of having your cluster up. And as you can see in some of my other posts, there are Red Hat guides that explain why you should not shut your cluster down within the first 24 hours, as it is a certificate issue. But when you log in, you're taken automatically to this overview page. Depending on the user you log in with, you'll either have the administrator perception or the developer perception. So if I switch, perspective. And in the newer versions, they have added a tour. So we'll skip the tour for this. But again, the developers are brought directly to the topology, which show all of the current projects that they have access to. And the administrators are shown the overview. So a few pieces of information that you can glance from this overview page is obviously the status of your cluster. So you have all greens across. You can see that everything is good. You're also given the API address, and this is what you can use to log into your cluster from a command line interface, again, using an account that you've set up. In this case, it would be cube admin. You're given your cluster ID. This is what's going to be tied to your Red Hat cluster manager. So when you run the IPI, it does ask you for a pull secret, and this is how it will tie to your cluster account on the cluster manager. It'll also tell you the provider. So as I mentioned, I'm using Google Cloud Platform for this. It'll tell you your version, and it'll tell you your update channel. If your version happens to be out of date, it will provide you with a little button here to update to the most recent version of OpenShift. You also have your activity, so recent events that were going on. As you can see, there's no ongoing activity, but there is recent things as I just finished the install on this cluster. It'll go over the cluster utilization, so it'll discuss how many nodes you have set up and the resources for those nodes, as well as your pod count. Then it'll also go over cluster inventory, and so again, as you can see, I have 5 nodes, 212 pods, 1 storage class, and 0 persistent volume claims. On the left-hand side, you have a couple different menus. You have your home, so as you can see, you have your overview, projects, which will display all projects that are running, search, explore, events, again, things that are shown here in your overview. On the operators page, this is where you can go to set up Operator Hub and begin installing different operators such as Prometheus or operators from the Red Hat Marketplace. You can also see your installed operators. So right now, as this is a new cluster, I have the package server installed and that's it. If I wanted to go and provision a Prometheus operator, I could do that. I can install, select the settings that you want, and as you can see, it'll spin up the operator. Once the operator is done being spun up, it will show in here that I have it run. You also have your workloads. So workloads are going to contain all of the actual applications that are running on your OpenShift. So those would be pods, again, which is the base unit of measurement. You also have deployments, deployment configs. Those are created once a pod is spun up. You have stateful sets, secrets, and config maps. You also have the ability to go in and view your horizontal pod autoscalers, replication controllers, basic development tools that are needed to run and administer OpenShift. You also have your networking, routes, as well as services. So as you start to spin up more workloads and create more routes, you'll be able to see them appear in here. Storage, again, as I mentioned, there are no persistent volume claims right now, but this is where all of your persistent storage will be stored. Builds, again, you'll be able to see build configs, image streams. Under monitoring, this is where when I set up my Prometheus, that will show up. Compute, so this is where you can view your machines, machine sets, nodes, all of that information. As you can see, I have a few different nodes set up right now. I have 3 masters and 2 workers. User management, again, this is where you can create new users, and right now we won't be able to do that because we don't have a authentication set up, and I'll go over that in a second. Groups, again, same thing as users, service accounts, and then finally administration, so cluster settings, namespaces, adding quotas, limit ranges, as well as defining your own custom resource definitions. Now if we switch over to the developer perspective obviously has a lot less. It has more ability to go in and spin up workloads. You obviously have the ability to add a workload. The first thing you'll have to do is obviously create a project. You have the topology, which as you create more workloads, you'll be able to see your topology show up based off the project that you're in. So for example, if I were to create a test proj, I would now be able to add a workload. So if I do sample, I can add a PHP. And then as you can see, the topology has now been populated with my topology for the project that I'm in. Again, and more information is shown under this perspective. You have the ability to view builds, Helm charts if that's something that you're using, project status information, configuration maps, and secrets. Now, if we go for a sec, you can see up here that I'm logged in as a temporary administrator. So it is best practice to set up a different authenticator than the Cube admin user. So if I were to go in and we'll get into this more in depth in a different video, setting up a new identity provider. As you can see, there's a couple different types we can set up. I will go over how to set up an HT password authenticator. And that will allow me to then create users and add them to my HT password file, which will then allow me to delete this Cube admin account. But again, all of that can be accessed from the administrator perspective. You also have the ability to view notifications. So as you can see, my Prometheus operator failed. There's a conflict. And then you can go to the OpenShift Cluster Manager. So as you can see in Cluster Manager, this provides some more information in my cluster. This also has the ability to get me to the Red Hat Marketplace and view other subscriptions. And again, as always, all of this can be done from the command line interface as well. So if I were to log in, It's going to ask me the first time if I want to accept this identity. So if I select yes, and then it should log me in. And then you go. As you can see, I'm logged in. It gives me the default project. If I do OC, who am I? Tells me QAdmin. OC, who am I? Show server. And that's the server that I logged into. Again, I'm able to do everything in the command line interface that I was able to do in the user interface. So if I wanted to do OC get nodes, it returns the nodes. Same as on the user interface, I have 3 masters and 2 workers. Again, this has just been a very brief overview of the OpenShift, Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform user interface. I hope you found it informative. As time progresses, I will be posting more webinar videos, doing different demos, doing different tutorials that I have come across in my time at Red Hat. I'll try to post the links for any open information that I can find and make sure that you have access to everything. Thanks very much.